Imagine your husband coming home with his pregnant secretary and having the audacity to force his legal wife to make a choice. Accept a live-in mistress or pack her bags and leave with absolutely nothing. Wow, that must hurt so much, right? But remember, never underestimate the silence of a brilliant woman. I guarantee today's story will make your blood boil, but the elegant revenge at the end will leave you incredibly satisfied. Now, before we dive into the marital drama of Anna and Felix, please support this channel by hitting that like and subscribe button right now. And to get to know each other better, sound off in the comments. Drop your name, your city, and type present. I want to know where all our loyal listeners are tuning in from today. Are you ready to see how the Queen takes her revenge? Let's begin the story. That afternoon, the sky over Greenwich, Connecticut, looked overcast, as if mirroring the mood that was about to shatter inside a luxurious estate in the elite neighborhood. Anna sat quietly on the living room sofa. She held a thick hardcover book in her hands while a cup of steaming Earl Grey tea rested on the marble coffee table in front of her. The familiar roar of a car engine echoed as it pulled into the circular driveway. It was Felix's Range Rover. Anna glanced at the grandfather clock. It was barely 4:00 p.m. It was highly unusual for Felix to be home this early. Usually, her husband always used the excuse of working late, corporate meetings in Manhattan, or out off-state business trips. Anna closed her book slowly, straightened the throw pillows, and stood up to greet her husband, as was her custom. However, her footsteps halted the moment the mahogany double doors swung wide open. Felix hadn't come home alone. Beside him stood a young woman in a rather tight designer dress that accentuated her curves. Her hands were wrapped affectionately around Felix's arm without the slightest hint of awkwardness. Anna recognized that face. It was Megan, Felix's personal executive assistant who had started working at his firm 6 months ago. "Felix, who is this?" Anna asked flatly, her eyes fixed on their intertwined hands. Felix walked in with an arrogant stride. His chin held high. He didn't let go of Megan. Instead, he tightened his grip around her waist as if showing off a new trophy to his wife. "Sit down, Anna. There is something important we need to discuss. And I won't repeat myself," Felix said in a cold, unfamiliar tone. Anna didn't argue. She sat back down on her single armchair, looking straight at her husband and his guest. Her face was calm, almost expressionless, a stark contrast to her heart, which might have been pounding furiously, though she was an expert at hiding it. Felix led Megan to the long sofa right across from Anna. Megan smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile, but the triumphant smirk of a woman who felt she had successfully stolen the king's heart. "You obviously know who she is," Felix began without any small talk. "Megan, your secretary." "I know," Anna replied briefly. "So, what corporate emergency required you to bring your secretary to our private home?" Felix scoffed harshly, acting as if Anna's question was idiotic. "Don't play dumb, Anna. I didn't bring her here for work." Felix looked at Megan, and his hand moved to caress her stomach, which was still relatively flat, but purposely pushed out. "Starting today, Megan is no longer just my secretary. She's carrying my child, the son I have always dreamed of as the heir to this family. Something you haven't been able to give me in our 5 years of marriage." Those words sliced through the air, stabbing directly into Anna's chest. Yet, strangely, not a single tear fell down her cheeks. She simply stayed silent for a moment, reached for her teacup and took a slow sip, as if her husband's confession was nothing more than a boring weather report. "Oh," Anna responded shortly. "So that's why you rarely come home." Seeing Anna's freezing reaction, Felix's face turned bright red. He expected drama. He expected Anna to cry hysterically, beg on her knees or scream at Megan. Anna's calm reaction actually bruised his ego as a man who thrived on dominance. "Why are you just sitting there?" Felix barked. "Your husband got another woman pregnant, and all you have to say is, 'Oh, where is your heart, huh?'" Megan chimed in, adding fuel to the fire. She rested her head on Felix's shoulder while giving Anna a condescending look. "Baby, be patient." Maybe Anna is just in shock. Poor thing. I mean, she's getting older. Maybe she realizes she can't compete with someone younger and more fertile like me. Megan's words were laced with venom, intentionally trying to provoke a reaction. Anna placed her cup back on the saucer with a sharp clink that made Megan jump slightly. How exactly do you want me to react, Felix? Anna asked, her piercing gaze locked onto his. Do you want me to cry? Throw a tantrum and smash the vases in this house? Sorry, that's not my style. If you've decided to commit adultery, my tears are far too expensive to waste on a man like you. Watch your mouth, Anna. Felix stood up, pointing a finger in her face. You should know your place. You're barren. It's completely natural for me to find another woman who can give me a legacy. I am not barren. The specialists in New York said we are both perfectly healthy. Just wasn't the right time. Anna countered, calm but firm. Excuses. Felix cut her off. The proof is that Megan got pregnant within months of being with me. That means you are the problem. Megan giggled. The sound was incredibly grating to the ears. Oh, stop it, Felix. Honey, don't get so angry. It's bad for the baby's stress levels. What matters is that you have me and our little champion now. Felix sat back down, trying to control his heavy breathing. He looked at Anna with an intimidating glare. Listen to me very carefully, Anna. Because Megan is carrying my child. I am not letting her live in that cramped Manhattan apartment anymore. She needs comfort. She needs the best care. Anna furrowed her brows, beginning to guess where this was going. And starting today, Megan will be living here, Felix stated firmly. His voice echoed through the massive living room. There was a brief silence. Anna looked around the luxurious home she had meticulously decorated with love years ago. Living here, Anna repeated softly. Yes, in this house, Felix answered arrogantly. And you, as the wife who failed to provide an heir, will have to accept this reality. You will share this roof with Megan. Consider it your punishment or an opportunity to learn how to properly serve a husband from her. Megan smiled widely, looking around the multi-million-dollar estate with hungry eyes, as if calculating the auction value of the antique furnishings. I look forward to your help, Anna, Megan said in a sickeningly sweet fake tone. I'll probably need a lot of favors. My first trimester is making me so spoiled. Felix said, You're a great cook. I'd love for you to make me some organic bone broth later. Anna remained silent. She didn't respond to Megan's ridiculous demands, nor did she reply to Felix's yelling. Behind her silence, Anna's brilliant mind was racing. She was assembling the facts, assessing the situation, and suppressing the storm in her chest, turning it into a cold, calculated strategy. Felix mistook her silence for defeat. He felt like he was on top of the world. He believed he had successfully broken his wife, who had always been a bit too independent and dominant for his liking. Good that you're quiet, Felix said with a smirk. That means you agree. Go prepare the guest room for Megan. Oh wait, Megan is pregnant. She needs a premium mattress and a spacious room. Felix looked up the grand staircase. Megan will sleep in the master suite with me. You can move into the downstairs guest room. This was insult upon insult. Felix was truly testing the absolute limits of a woman's patience. Anna took a deep breath and exhaled slowly. Her face remained an unreadable mask. Fine, if that is what you want, Anna said softly. So softly, it sounded like the whisper of the Grim Reaper. The atmosphere in the living room grew even more suffocating after Anna agreed to change rooms. But Felix wasn't satisfied just kicking his wife out of the master bedroom. He wanted absolute crushing victory. He wanted to see Anna shattered, begging, and admitting she was powerless without him. Hold on, Anna. I'm not done talking. Felix snapped loudly as Anna began to stand up. Anna sat back down, folding her hands gracefully in her lap. What else, Felix? Haven't I already given up my bedroom for you too? Felix pulled a thick brown envelope from his leather briefcase and threw it roughly onto the marble table. The slap of the paper echoed, thickening the tension. Megan looked at the envelope with sparkling eyes, acting as if she knew it was her golden ticket to the high society life she craved. "Don't think this ends with just switching rooms," Felix threatened. He walked around the table, standing right over Anna, looking down at her as if he were a king passing judgment on a peasant. "From this second forward, your status in this house changes. You are no longer the only lady of the house. You have to accept an open marriage where Megan is my primary partner. And not just that," Felix paused for dramatic effect, pointing to Megan's flat stomach. "After this child is born, you will be the one taking care of it. You will handle all of its needs. Consider it your duty since you couldn't give me a child of your own." Megan giggled. The sound was like a death nail to a woman's dignity. "Yeah, Anna. I'm still young. I want to focus on getting my body back after I give birth so I can stay hot for Felix. So you'll be the nanny. Think of it as practice for being a mom. Since you've never experienced the hassle of having kids," Anna gave Megan a fleeting look, a gaze that was hard to decipher. Then looked back at her husband. "Felix, do you even realize what you are saying? You are asking me to become the unpaid nanny to your affair baby. It's not a request, Anna. It's an order," Felix yelled, his face flushing because she dared to question him. "Listen to my ultimatum carefully." Felix leaned in, pointing his finger right at her face. "You have two choices. Option 1, you accept your fate, accept Megan and raise my child. You get to keep living in this mansion, eat good food, and enjoy the black cards. But you need to know your places beneath Megan." Felix took a breath and smirked maliciously. "Or option 2, you pack your bags and get the hell out of here right now. But remember, Anna, if you choose to walk out that door, you will lose everything. I will make sure you don't take a single dime of our wealth. You'll walk out with only the clothes on your back. You'll be a homeless, aging, broke woman on the streets of New York." The threat felt incredibly real. Felix was radiating confidence because for their 5 years of marriage, he was the one who controlled the operational side of the company and managed the family finances. He forgot, or perhaps was too blinded by his own ego to remember whose name was actually written on the legal documents. Megan clung tightly to Felix's arm, mocking Anna with her eyes. "See, listen to him, Anna. Felix is being so generous, giving you an option. If I were you, I'd just obey. It's hard making a living out there, honey. Especially since you haven't worked a real job in years and just sit around the house." Anna remained silent for a long time. Her eyes shifted from the brown envelope on the table to Felix's arrogant face and finally to Megan's face, which glowed with false victory. Inside her mind, Anna wasn't afraid. Instead, any remaining respect or residual love she might have held for Felix vanished in that exact second, crumbled into dust. The man standing before her was no longer her husband. He was a greedy, delusional stranger. Anna stood up slowly. She didn't tremble. She didn't look down. She stood tall, radiating a freezing aura that made Megan inexplicably shiver. "So if I leave, I lose everything. Is that what you're saying?" Anna asked. "Just to be perfectly clear, you won't have a damn thing without me," Felix declared loudly. "The cars, the house, the credit cards, they are all mine. You are just a parasite who got lucky I married you." The word parasite was the final trigger. Anna smiled faintly. So faintly it was almost invisible. It wasn't a smile of defeat, but a farewell smile to her husband's sheer stupidity. "Very well," Anna said calmly. Her voice was flat, devoid of the explosive emotion Felix was hoping for. "I understand my position now." Felix laughed in satisfaction, assuming Anna was choosing the first option out of a fear of poverty. "Gee, that's better. That's a good, obedient wife. Now hurry up and prep dinner. Megan wants a Wagyu steak. Make sure it's medium well. Don't burn it like you did last week." Without responding to the steak order, Anna turned and walked toward the stairs. "Hey, where do you think you're going?" "The kitchen is that way," Felix shouted. "I'm going to my room to rest for a moment before I do what needs to be done," Anna replied without looking back. Felix scoffed, then wrapped his arm around Megan and kissed the top of her head. "See, baby, she can't do anything. She'd never dare leave this luxury. From now on, you are the queen of this castle. Megan smiled coquettishly. You're so amazing, Felix. I love you even more. The two of them laughed in the living room, celebrating their victory built on someone else's pain. They had no idea that upstairs in the silent master suite, Anna wasn't resting. She stood in front of a massive abstract painting of the Rocky Mountains hanging on the bedroom wall. She stared at it sharply, her hand reached out, not to admire the art, but to feel the edge of the frame. There was a hidden lever there. Tonight would be Anna's last night in this house. But she wasn't leaving as a loser like Felix imagined. She was leaving to prepare for war. Total war. Downstairs, Felix and Megan were busy discussing how to redecorate the house, completely oblivious that the foundation of their luxurious life was actively cracking and ready to collapse in a matter of hours. The night deepened. The grandfather clock struck 2 a.m. The grand estate was plunged into a suffocating silence. Upstairs, in the master bedroom that should have been Anna's sanctuary, Felix's soft snoring could be heard. He slept soundly, feeling like he had conquered the world after successfully trampling his wife's dignity. Beside him, Megan was dead to the world, probably dreaming of the Birkin bags Felix promised to buy her the next day. Meanwhile, in the downstairs guest room, Anna's eyes were wide open. There were no tears, no dramatic sobbing like in cheap soap operas. She sat perfectly straight on the edge of the bed, wearing practical all-black clothing instead of pajamas. Anna stood up slowly. Her footsteps were light, practically silent against the cold marble floors. She wasn't running away out of fear. She was executing phase 1. She slipped out of the guest room, quietly ascending the grand staircase to the second floor. Her destination wasn't the master bedroom, but a room at the end of the hallway, the private study. This was the one room in the house Felix rarely entered because he hated reading or dealing with complex paperwork. He preferred spending his time in the home theater or the basement game room. Once inside, Anna locked the heavy oak door silently. She turned on her phone's flashlight, not daring to flick on the main switch in case light seeped under the door. The dim beam hit the large abstract painting she had looked at earlier. With practiced ease, Anna slid the painting to the right. Behind it sat a digital steel safe. Felix knew the safe existed, but in his arrogance, he never cared what was inside. He assumed it only held Anna's grandmother's antique jewelry, which he deemed worthless. Felix only cared about the joint bank accounts and the platinum credit cards he carried in his wallet. Anna's slender fingers rapidly punched in the combination. Beep. The steel door swung open with a soft click. She ignored the velvet boxes containing the diamond jewelry Felix had bought for their anniversaries. To her, gifts from a traitor were trash. Instead, her hand reached for a thick blood-red folder. The contents of this folder were the lifeblood of the entire empire Felix currently enjoyed. The deed to the estate, clearly stating the sole owner as Anna Barnes, her maiden name, not Felix. Additionally, it contained the physical stock certificates proving her 90% majority ownership of the Manhattan real estate firm left to her by her late father, an ironclad prenuptial agreement that cleanly separated their assets, and her passport. Anna smiled bitterly. Felix always bragged to his golf buddies that this house was his and that he built the company from the ground up. In reality, Felix was merely a CEO hired and appointed by Anna to manage the family assets, while she chose to play the role of a traditional housewife out of respect for him as the head of the household. Her biggest mistake had been trusting a wolf to guard the sheep. Besides the red folder, Anna grabbed a small but lethal item, a black external hard drive. This little device contained CCTV footage from Felix's office, records of offshore transactions, and hard evidence of the $5 million corporate embezzlement Felix had committed over the past 2 years to fund Megan's lavish lifestyle. Anna had quietly gathered it all with the help of a loyal internal auditor. "Enjoy your sleep tonight, Felix, because tomorrow your hell begins," Anna whispered softly, slipping the items into her leather backpack. She closed the safe, slid the painting back into place and made sure no traces were left behind. She even wiped the dust off the frame with her sleeve. "Perfect," Anna went back downstairs. She grabbed the small rolling suitcase she had packed earlier. It only contained simple clothes she had bought with her own money before they were married, along with basic toiletries. The thousands of dollars worth of evening gowns, designer heels, and Hermes bags Felix had bought her as hush money whenever he came home late were left hanging in the closet. She refused to take any remnants of that man. Before reaching the front door, Anna stopped in the grand dining room. The street lights outside pierced through the sheer curtains, illuminating the long dining table where they used to eat breakfast every morning. Anna slid the diamond wedding ring off her ring finger. The ring Felix had placed there with a vow of "till death do us part." A sweet promise that now felt like poison. Anna placed the ring right in the center of the empty table. There was no farewell letter. No angry message written in lipstick on the bathroom mirror. No smashed glass. Anna wanted her departure to be a maddening mystery. She wanted Felix to wake up and find a confusing void. The absence of a message would leave him wondering, where did she go? What is she planning? Why isn't she angry? Is she scared? The unknown is the greatest psychological terror for someone who believes they are in control. Anna walked to the front door and punched in the digital security code. Blick. The door opened. The cool night air hit her face. It was chilly but incredibly refreshing. It felt like breathing the air of freedom after being locked in a fake golden cage for 5 years. In the massive garage sat a fleet of luxury cars. Felix's pride and joy Range Rover, a white Mercedes G-Wagon for family trips, and a Porsche 911. The keys hung neatly by the door. Anna could have taken any of them. Legally, they were bought with her company's money, but she chose not to. She didn't want to give Felix any excuse to call the police and report the cars stolen. Let him feel like a winner with those cars for a few hours before the corporate auditors and repo men came for them. Anna ordered an Uber Black. 5 minutes later, a sleek SUV pulled up outside the towering iron gates. Anna walked out of the estate without looking back once. She rolled her suitcase and got into the waiting car. For Anna. The driver asked politely, "Yes, let's go." Anna replied calmly. The car accelerated, cutting through the dark Connecticut night, leaving behind a mansion that now only housed 2 greedy humans sleeping on a ticking time bomb. A bomb whose detonator had just been taken away by the wife they thought was weak and stupid. The calm before the storm was over. The storm was now pulling back, gathering strength, ready to strike and level everything to its very roots. Inside the house, Felix shifted in his sleep, hugging a pillow he thought was his wife, completely unaware that when he opened his eyes, his world would be turned completely upside down. The ring on the dining table gleamed coldly in the moonlight, a silent witness to the end of a marriage and the dawn of an elegant, ruthless revenge. The obedient wife was dead. Long live the queen. The bright morning sun pierced through the gap in the master bedroom curtains, falling directly onto Felix's face. He stretched slowly, feeling an incredible sense of satisfaction. Last night, Clear's throat, was the best sleep he'd had in months. No more hiding, no more lies to cover up. He felt like a true alpha male who had successfully conquered 2 women at once. He glanced to his side. Megan was still fast asleep, wrapped in a silk duvet. Felix smiled proudly. He felt like the king of his castle. The old wife had been banished to the guest room, and the young mistress was in the master bed. Perfect. Time for coffee, Felix muttered as he got out of bed. Normally by this time, the aroma of his favorite dark roast and the smell of toasted bagels or omelets would be wafting from the kitchen. Anna was an incredibly disciplined wife. No matter how bad their fights were the night before, she never failed to prepare his morning routine. Felix was certain this morning would be no different. Anna must have woken up at dawn, cried about her fate, and was now back to serving him out of fear of being thrown out and going broke. Felix walked out of the room casually, whistling a little tune as he descended the grand spiral staircase, but his steps slowed as he reached the ground floor. Silence. There was no sound of spatulas hitting pans, no blender running, no smell of coffee. The house was dead quiet, as if abandoned. "Anna!" Felix called out. His voice echoed in the empty foyer. No answer. Felix frowned. Anna, stop playing games. I want my coffee now, he yelled louder, getting annoyed that his morning routine was disrupted. Still nothing. Annoyed, Felix took long strides toward the downstairs guest room where he had banished her. He shoved the door open roughly. Hey, didn't you hear? The words died in his throat. The room was empty. The bed was perfectly made. The sheets weren't wrinkled at all. It was as if no one had slept there. Felix threw open the closet doors. Me. Only a few wooden hangers swayed gently from the AC draft. Felix scoffed and slammed the closet door. Boiled brat. I yell at her once and she runs away. He grumbled. He walked into the dining room. There on top of the polished black marble island, his eyes caught the glint of something small. He stepped closer and picked it up. Her wedding ring, the platinum band set with a flawless diamond that he had slid onto her finger 5 years ago. Felix rolled the ring between his fingers, then let out a condescending laugh. Cheap theatrics, he hissed cynically. He tossed the ring back onto the marble, treating it like a piece of worthless junk. She thinks leaving this ring is going to make me panic, make me go looking for her. Dream on. To Felix, Anna leaving the house was just a bluff. He was 100% sure she had just run to her mother's house to cry and seek sympathy. In 2 or 3 days max, she would be calling him in tears, begging to come back because she couldn't survive without his platinum credit cards. Babe, why are you yelling? Megan's whiny voice echoed from the stairs. She walked down wearing Anna's expensive silk robe that she had found in the closet. She looked groggy. Where's your old wife? I'm starving. The baby really wants those Belgian waffles Anna makes. Megan wed, rubbing her belly. Felix walked over and wrapped his arm around her waist. She ran away like a scared rat. Megan's eyes widened and then she burst out laughing. Wait, seriously. Oh my God, she is so mentally weak. I thought she was this tough lady. Turns out she's a crybaby. Let her be, Felix said casually. She probably ran to her mom's. Once her wallet runs dry, she'll come crawling back to kiss my feet. But what about my breakfast, Felix? Megan pouted. Relax. We have the housekeeper. Martha, Felix yelled, calling for the part-time maid. An older Hispanic woman hurried in from the prep kitchen in the back, looking terrified. Ma'am, sorry. I just got here. The front gate was left unlocked, so I let myself in. Make breakfast right now. Belgian waffles with fresh berries for Megan and a black coffee for me. Hurry up, Felix ordered. Martha looked confused, her eyes darting around, searching for the lady of the house. Sorry, sir. Where is Mrs. Anna? Usually, she keeps the specialty baking ingredients locked in the pantry. Don't ask so many questions. Megan suddenly snapped, making Martha jump. Anna isn't here anymore. I'm the lady of the house now. Find the ingredients. If we don't have them, go buy them. Do I have to teach you how to do your job? Go slow. Martha swallowed hard and looked down in fear. In the 5 years she had worked there, Anna had never raised her voice at her. Anna was always polite and often insisted Martha sit and eat breakfast with her. But this young woman radiating toxicity was entirely different. Yes, ma'am. Right away, Martha squeaked, rushing back to the kitchen. Felix smiled at Megan's assertiveness. That's my girl. You definitely deserve to run this house. You're firm, not soft like Anna. They sat at the kitchen island, enjoying the morning with supreme arrogance. Felix unlocked his phone and quickly checked his mobile banking app. He smiled, seeing the string of zeros still in the account. He didn't realize that the email notification regarding the frozen assets hadn't come through yet, because the bank's automated systems wouldn't process the freeze until exactly 9 a.m. when Wall Street opened. Hey babe, Megan said with her mouth full. Let's go shopping in the city today. We didn't get to buy that crazy expensive luxury stroller yesterday. Now that the buzzkill is gone, we can swipe your card without listening to her lectures on being frugal. Done, Felix said smoothly. Get whatever you want. Today we celebrate our freedom from that witch. Oh, and Felix, Megan eyed the ring on the counter. Can I have Anna's ring? It's a waste to throw it out. The rock is huge. Felix glanced at it and nodded. Take it. It might be a little loose on you, but we can get it resized at Tiffany's. Consider it the spoils of war. Megan squealed with delight, grabbed the ring and slid it on. Bit big but gorgeous. Thanks, babe. They laughed together. A laugh that bounced off the cold walls of a house that very soon would no longer belong to them. That morning might have felt empty for Anna, but for Felix, it was the brightest morning before the sun permanently set on his life. The most exclusive high-end shopping center on Fifth Avenue in Manhattan was glittering under crystal chandeliers that afternoon. Felix walked with confident, heavy strides, holding hands with a beaming Megan. They dressed to be noticed. Felix wore a custom-tailored designer blazer while Megan wore a tight dress showcasing her figure, complete with a $15,000 Birkin bag she had bought last week. Babe, let's go into that boutique, Little Royal, Megan wed, pointing to an ultra-luxury baby store whose window display alone screamed old money. I heard they have a $50,000 gold-plated bassinet that the Hollywood celebrities use. Anything for you and my boy. Felix laughed, intentionally speaking loudly so the shoppers nearby would look at him in awe. Let's wash off the bad luck of living with that wicked witch. They stepped into the boutique and a sales associate immediately greeted them with fawning politeness, smelling the money on Felix. Megan practically ran around like a kid in a candy store. She pointed out a $50,000 stroller, a custom mahogany crib for $30,000, and imported organic silk baby clothes that cost more than a normal person's monthly rent. This is gorgeous, Felix. The color matches our nursery perfectly, Megan said, holding up a cashmere blanket. Wrap it up, Felix ordered the trailing associate. And get the most expensive, safest car seat. My son isn't riding in cheap plastic. Right away, sir, the associate said, eyes shining at the thought of a massive commission. After nearly an hour, Megan's pile of luxury goods towered at the register. The total came out to an eye-watering amount, $128,500. A number that would make an average person dizzy, but to Felix it was just crumbs from the empire he thought he owned. Your total is $128,500, sir, the cashier said with a polite smile. Megan nudged Felix, whispering, Babe, isn't this a bit much? What if Anna finds out? Felix scoffed. She's gone, Megan. She has no right to tell me how to spend my money anymore. Let her see the statement. She'll probably have a stroke in whatever cheap motel she's staying at. With slow, dramatized movements, Felix pulled out his leather wallet. He slid out a heavy matte black metal card. The MX Centurion black card, the ultimate status symbol he used to brag about to his country club friends. Run it as credit, Felix said arrogantly, handing the card over with 2 fingers. The cashier took it respectfully and slid it into the terminal. Felix leaned against the counter, busy texting his luxury car club group chat, completely ignoring the cashier's increasingly confused expression. Beep. The terminal let out a long, harsh error sound. A small receipt printed out, but it wasn't an approval. Sorry, sir. The card declined, the cashier said hesitantly. Felix stopped typing. He glared at the cashier. Don't joke with me. That card has no limit. Run it again. Your machine is probably broken or the Wi-Fi is bad. Right away, sir, I'll try it once more. She swiped it again. The store fell silent. Megan started looking nervous. She noticed the line behind them getting longer. 2 wealthy Upper East Side women in line started whispering and giving them dirty looks. Beep. The rejection tone echoed again. Still declining, sir. The prompt says, do not honor, meaning the issuing bank has blocked the transaction, the cashier explained, her voice slightly louder this time, catching the attention of the line. Felix's face flushed deep red. He felt utterly humiliated. Impossible. Stupid bank, he cursed. He snatched the black card back and pulled out 3 others. A platinum card, a gold card, and his corporate expense card. Use this one or this one. They are all active. He tossed them onto the counter. The cashier tried them one by one with shaking hands. Platinum card declined. Gold card declined. Corporate card declined. Babe, what's going on? This is so embarrassing. Everyone is looking. Megan whispered frantically, her face pale as she heard the women behind them stifling a laugh. Hold on, Felix barked. He grabbed his iPhone and immediately dialed the VIP concierge line. He purposefully put it on speakerphone while he gathered his scattered cards, wanting the cashier to hear that this was a bank error, not him being broke. Hello, Centurion Concierge. This is Sarah. How may I assist you? The crisp voice of the operator rang out. Sarah, why the hell are all my cards declining? I'm trying to make a 6F-figure purchase and you're embarrassing me with your garbage system. This is Felix, VIP client. Fix this right now, Felix roared. I apologize for the inconvenience, Mr. Felix. May I verify your security details for a moment? After a quick verification process that felt like an eternity, the operator returned to the line. Her tone had shifted. It was now strictly formal and icy cold. Thank you for waiting. According to our system, every credit card under your name has been permanently blocked and deactivated as of 9 a.m. Eastern Time today. Blocked? Who authorized a block? I never requested that. I will sue you if you're messing with me. Felix screamed hysterically. Every customer in the boutique was now staring at him. I apologize, sir. The operator replied calmly, her voice crystal clear over the speaker. You are listed merely as an authorized user. The block was executed at the direct request of the primary account holder and owner of the linked funds, Mrs. Anna Barnes. She has also officially revoked your access to all banking facilities connected to her portfolio. Felix's heart essentially stopped beating. What? He stammered. Authorized user. But I'm her husband. That's my money. Systematically, sir. The portfolio is a sole proprietorship account under the name Anna Barnes. You were granted access as a supplementary user, and that power of attorney has been legally revoked. As of right now, your available balance with this institution is 0. Is there anything else I can help you with? Felix ended the call with violently shaking hands. He nearly dropped his phone. He looked at the cashier, who was now staring at him with a mix of pity and disgust. He looked at Megan, who took a physical step back from him as if he had a contagious disease. Felix, you don't have any money? Megan asked softly, her voice dripping with disbelief. This is a misunderstanding. Anna, she's just bluffing. Felix tried to defend himself, but his voice was incredibly weak. Cold sweat poured down his temples. Excuse me, sir. The cashier interjected firmly, pulling the bagged luxury items back behind the counter. If you cannot provide payment, these items cannot leave the store. Please step aside so I can help the next customer. Yeah, move it, buddy. If you don't have the cash, don't flex on Fifth Avenue. Poor girl. She's pregnant and her sugar daddy is just leeching off his wife's credit cards. One of the socialites in line loudly remarked, prompting snickers from the rest of the store. Felix felt his world cave in. His pride had been curb-stomped in public. Having no other choice, he looked down at the floor, grabbed Megan's hand, and dragged her out of the boutique. Let go of me. Megan slapped his hand away once they were out on the sidewalk. You told me you were rich. You said you owned the company. Why the hell are you an authorized user on your old wife's account? Shut up, Megan. Felix yelled in frustration, frantically opening his mobile banking app to try and wire his personal savings, but the screen flashed a fatal error. User ID deactivated. Please contact your nearest branch. Suddenly hit Felix. Even his personal savings account was technically a sub-account routed through Anna's primary trust to optimize their tax bracket. Without Anna, Felix literally did not have access to a single penny of the millions he had been happily blowing through. Let's go home, Felix said weakly. I'll sort this out at the office tomorrow. Has to be an administrative mistake. Megan followed behind him with a sour face. No shopping bags, no pride. Felix's legs felt like lead as he walked to the parking garage. The memory of Anna's calm, deadpan face from the night before haunted him. So this is what you meant, Anna. Felix's mind screamed. You really want to bankrupt me. But Felix didn't know yet. The declined credit cards were just the appetizer. The main course of his destruction would be served tomorrow morning at the office. The very place he thought he was an untouchable king. The next morning, Felix sped his Range Rover down the FDR Drive toward Midtown Manhattan. His jaw was clenched, his knuckles white around the steering wheel. The humiliation at the mall still burned like a physical wound. He hadn't slept a wink, agonizing over how Anna, the woman he deemed submissive and foolish, could freeze his finances. It has to be a bank error, Felix muttered to himself. High on copium, or she forged my signature. Yeah, that's it. I'm going to have her arrested for fraud. He arrived at the towering glass skyscraper that housed the real estate firm he ran. He stepped out of his car with his chin up, desperately trying to project his usual aura of absolute authority. He adjusted his silk tie, expecting the usual chorus of, "Good morning, Mr. CO" from the lobby staff. But as he walked through the revolving doors, the atmosphere was completely off. The receptionist, who normally stood up to greet him, suddenly looked down and pretended to be busy on the phone, avoiding his eyes. The security guards just stood stiffly, looking at Felix with an odd mix of pity and high alert. Felix ignored the bad vibes. He marched to the executive elevator. A few junior analysts waiting for the local elevator went dead silent when they saw him. They nudged each other, whispered, and quickly looked at the floor. What are you all staring at? Don't you have jobs to do? Felix snapped aggressively. The employees scattered, opting to take the stairs rather than share space with the erratic boss. Felix scoffed. When he reached the 50th floor, the executive suite, the silence was deafening. The temporary secretary filling in for Megan wasn't at her desk. The floor felt abandoned. Felix walked briskly to the double oak doors of his massive corner office. He pressed his thumb against the biometric scanner. Beep. Access denied. The LED flashed red. Felix frowned. He pressed his thumb down harder. Beep. Access denied. Damn it. Broken again, he cursed. He pulled his MasterKey card out of his wallet and tapped it to the sensor. Beep. Card not recognized. Felix lost his temper. He slammed his fist against the heavy wood. Open up. Who is in there? Why is my office locked? He roared down the empty hallway. You can bang on that door until your knuckles bleed. Felix. The digital locks were entirely replaced at midnight. A deep, calm voice came from behind him. Felix spun around. Standing there was Mr. Barnes, the senior corporate attorney who had represented Anna's late father for decades. The older man stood perfectly straight in a sharp gray suit flanked by two massive corporate security officers and a public notary. Mr. Barnes, what the hell is the meaning of this? Felix demanded, his voice echoing. Why is my office locked? And why are you here? I didn't summon legal today. Mr. Barnes offered a thin, utterly joyless smile. He stepped forward and handed Felix a thick white envelope. I am here representing the majority shareholder of this corporation, Mrs. Anna Barnes, the lawyer stated formally. At 7 a.m. this morning, an emergency remote shareholder meeting was held. This is a copy of the resolutions passed. Felix snatched the envelope and ripped it open. His eyes bulged as he read the first bullet point on the letterhead. Immediate termination with cause of Felix Frederick from the position of Chief Executive Officer. This is insane, Felix screamed, throwing the papers on the floor. You can't fire me. I built this company. I own it. Correction, Felix. Mr. Barnes cut in sharply. You are not the owner. You have never owned a single share of stock in this firm. 90% of this company is owned by Mrs. Anna Barnes, inherited directly from her father, and the remaining 10% belongs to a family trust. You are merely a professional employee hired and salaried to manage operations. You are nothing more than a hire worker. Felix froze. His face went ghostly pale. He had forgotten. Over the past 5 years, he had gotten so comfortable sitting on the throne that he forgot the throne didn't belong to him. He forgot that his signature only held power as long as Anna allowed it to. But on what grounds? My performance is flawless. Profits are up. Felix scrambled, desperately looking for a loophole. Mr. Barnes signaled the notary to open a secondary file. Profits are up on paper, but cash flow is bleeding out the back door. Mr. Barnes said coldly. Mrs. Barnes has provided us with a comprehensive forensic audit. Hard drive. The one you thought you had hidden, containing records of fictitious vendor payouts to personal accounts under Megan's name and corporate funds embezzled to purchase personal assets. We have it all. Felix's knees buckled. The hard drive, the exact thing he had frantically searched for in his home safe this morning and couldn't find. Anna took it. She knew everything. Mrs. Barnes is deeply disappointed, Mr. Barnes continued, his tone dropping to a lethal calm. She stayed quiet all this time, not because she was ignorant, but because she was waiting for you to come to your senses. Instead, you brought your mistress into her home and tried to evict the rightful owner of the estate. That was a fatal miscalculation. I need to talk to Anna. Where is she? Felix lunged forward, but the two security guards instantly grabbed his shoulders, pinning him in place. Let go of me. I'm her husband, Felix thrashed. Former CEO, Mr. Barnes corrected. And regarding your marital status, divorce papers were filed this morning at the state Supreme Court. So, I suggest you save your energy to hire a very good defense attorney because you're going to need massive legal help. Alongside the divorce, we are filing criminal charges with the district attorney for corporate embezzlement totaling $5 million. $5 million. The number made Felix's head spin. That was exactly how much he had drained to buy Megan the luxury condo, the cars, and the designer lifestyle over the last 6 months. Mr. Barnes, please help me. Felix's voice broke into a pathetic whimper. We've known each other for years. Don't destroy my career. Mr. Barnes looked at Felix with a gaze of pure, insulting pity. You destroyed yourself, Felix. You bit the hand that fed you. Mr. Barnes turned to the guards. Please supervise Mr. Felix while he gathers his personal items from the lobby holding area. Only personal items, photos, a mug, a jacket. No corporate documents, laptops, or company assets. Then escort him off the property. Wait, Mr. Barnes added, holding out his hand. Your vehicle. Hand over the keys to the company Range Rover right now. That is a corporate asset and your perks are revoked as of this second. Felix stood paralyzed. No job, no salary, no bank accounts, and now no car. With hands shaking violently, he reached into his pocket and pulled out the key fob he had proudly showed off that morning. He placed it into Mr. Barnes's palm with a heavy heart. It felt like handing over a piece of his soul. Thank you for your cooperation. Leave the building, Mr. Barnes finalized, turning his back and walking away, leaving Felix standing in the hallway like a piece of trash, waiting for the dumpster. Felix walked numbly, flanked by the guards. As he was marched through the lobby, he felt the stares of hundreds of employees. They weren't looking at him with fear or respect anymore, but with mockery. The whispers were loud and clear. That's him being thrown out. I heard he embezzled millions for a mistress. Serves him right. Anna is such a nice lady. At the exit, he was gently but firmly shoved through the revolving doors. The harsh heat of the New York sun blasted his skin. He stood on the sidewalk, completely disoriented. He dug into his pockets for his phone to order an Uber, but remembered his ride-sharing apps were tied to the dead credit cards. He searched his pockets for cash. His wallet was just a graveyard of useless plastic. Amidst the chaos of Midtown Manhattan, the arrogant Felix Frederick was now stranded. He would have to walk, take the subway, or beg for a loan just to get back to Connecticut. And worst of all, he had to go back and break the news to Megan, a woman who only loved him for his wallet. Felix looked up at the glass skyscraper one last time, realizing he had just lost his crown because he underestimated a queen he thought was weak. The sun was already dipping westward when Felix finally arrived at the gates of the Greenwich estate. He looked at. His tailored shirt was wrinkled and soaked with sweat. His tie was loosened haphazardly. He had just gotten off a cheap commuter bus and walked the last 2 miles from the station because his apps wouldn't work, and he'd had to dig through the bottom of his briefcase for loose change just to buy a ticket. Felix pushed the heavy iron pedestrian gate open with the last of his strength. He was furious, but beneath the rage was a chilling terror crawling up his spine. Mr. Barnes's words looped in his head like a broken record. "You are not the owner. You are just a guest. No, Barnes is lying." "It's a bluff," Felix muttered like a madman as he marched up the driveway. "I'm her legal husband. I have a right to half the assets. The courts will side with me." He threw open the front door. Inside, Megan was lounging on the sofa, flipping through a Vogue magazine, her feet propped up on the coffee table. Seeing Felix return looking like a mess and without his car, Megan frowned. "Felix, why are you home so early? And where's the car? I saw you walking up the driveway." Megan fired off questions. She scanned his empty hands. "And where's the cash? You said you were going to the office to withdraw cash so we could go back and shop." Felix didn't answer. He didn't even look at her. He was breathing heavily. His mind focused entirely on one object, the safe. He knew the only way to flip this situation was to get his hands on the physical documents, the deed to the house, the vehicle titles, the stock certificates. If he held the originals, he could hire a shark attorney and claim Anna abandoned her husband, then file an injunction to unfreeze the assets. "Felix, I'm talking to you," Megan yelled. Annoyed at being ignored, she got up and chased after him as he practically sprinted up the stairs. "Shut up, Megan. I have a migraine." Felix barked without looking back. He burst into the second-floor study. His hands shook wildly as he flipped the light switch. His eyes locked onto the mountain painting. "It's still there. It has to be there," Felix babbled. He violently yanked the painting off the wall, letting it crash to the floor. The steel safe was exposed. His heart hammered against his ribs. He punched in the code with sweaty fingers. "Adair! Damn it," he cursed. He took a breath and typed it carefully. "Their wedding anniversary." Blick. The LED turned green. Yes, Felix cried out with hope. If the safe still opened with the old code, maybe Anna had forgotten to clear it out. Maybe she rushed. He grabbed the handle and threw the door open wide. In the next second, the world stopped spinning. His eyes bulged as he stared into the dark, hollow metal box, empty, stripped clean. There were no stacks of emergency cash, no velvet jewelry boxes, and most fatally, no red folder. There was only a thin layer of dust and a single yellow post-it note stuck to the back wall. Felix peeled the note off with trembling fingers. Written in Anna's elegant, firm handwriting were the words, "Looking for something that isn't yours? AR." Felix screamed in agony. He crumpled the paper and slammed the heavy safe door shut, the metal booming through the room. He kicked the antique desk, sending a crystal vase crashing to the floor in a million pieces. Megan, who had just reached the doorway, jumped back in terror. "Felix, what is wrong with you? You're scaring me." Felix spun around. His face was purple, his eyes manic. He stared at her blankly. "It's gone. It's all gone, Megan." He whispered hoarsely. "What's gone?" Megan cautiously stepped into the room, looking at the empty safe. "Did Anna take the cash?" "Whatever. You still have other assets. The house is in your name, right? The company." Megan's innocent question was like throwing gasoline on a raging fire. Felix let out a broken, pathetic laugh and slid down the wall, sitting on the floor amidst the shattered glass. "You're asking whose name the house is in." Felix stared at the ceiling. His memory drifted back 5 years to when they first got married. Her father's lawyers had handed him a stack of documents to sign. Blinded by love and wanting to prove he wasn't a gold digger, he signed everything without reading the fine print. He thought it was just a formality. "I just remembered," Felix muttered. "The deed to this estate is in the name of Anna Barnes. The corporate charter lists the sole controlling shareholder as Anna Barnes. Even the cars are corporate assets." He looked at Megan, whose face was rapidly draining of color. And there was one more document in that safe. Megan, the deadliest one. What document? Felix, Megan asked, her voice trembling. The prenuptial agreement, Felix said with absolute despair. It clearly states a total separation of assets. Anything she brought into the marriage is hers, and anything generated from those assets remains hers. I don't have a right to a single cent of alimony or divided property. Megan clamped her hands over her mouth, her eyes wide with horror. You mean if you get divorced you get nothing? Zero. A big fat zero. Felix choked out. And she took all the physical originals. Without those papers I can't mortgage this place. Can't sell it. I can't even prove I lived here as an owner. Those missing documents were the death warrant for Felix's social status. Anna hadn't killed him physically. She had assassinated him financially and legally. She evicted him from the reality he worshiped. Then what happens to me? Megan's voice pitched into a frantic shriek. I'm pregnant with your baby. You promised me a house, a car, a luxury life. If you're broke, who is going to pay for me? Felix glared at Megan, the woman for whom he had betrayed a wife as perfect as Anna. Before, Megan looked beautiful and seductive. Now, as he hit rock bottom, her face just looked greedy and demanding. You're only thinking about yourself. Felix snapped. I just got fired. My car was repossessed. My account's frozen. And now I realize I don't even own a house. We could get evicted any minute. Fired. Megan shrieked, her knees going weak. The thought of living poor, taking the subway, eating cheap takeout, and having nothing to flex on Instagram was her ultimate nightmare. You're lying, right? This is a prank. She grabbed his shoulders and shook him. Tell me you're lying. How could a CEO get fired by his own wife? She's not just my wife, you idiot. She's the majority shareholder. She's the real boss, Felix yelled, pushing her hands away. Silence swallowed the room. After Felix's yelling faded, the only sound was their heavy breathing. Surrounded by broken glass, Felix finally realized how fragile his sand castle had been. He thought he was the king because he sat on the throne, oblivious to the fact that the throne belonged to the queen, who was simply generous enough to let him keep the seat warm. And the moment the queen demanded it back, Felix fell flat on his face. Outside the window, dark clouds gathered. A heavy thunderstorm was brewing, ready to unleash a downpour to perfectly cap off the worst day of Felix's life. The missing documents weren't just paper. They were the official verdict that his glamorous life had officially ended. That night, the multi-million-dollar estate felt like a maximum security prison. The clock showed 8 p.m., but the atmosphere was anything but peaceful. There were no more sweet giggles or pet names, just a thick, suffocating tension. Felix sat on the sofa, head bowed, massaging his pounding temples. His stomach growled loudly, shattering the silence. He hadn't eaten since morning. He had been too arrogant to eat at the corporate cafeteria before getting fired. And now he didn't have a single dollar to order a pizza. Felix, I'm hungry, Megan whined from the kitchen. Her voice had lost its cute tone and was now shrill and demanding. There's nothing in the Sub-Zero fridge, just cold water. Anna is a total psycho. She cleared out the pantry before she left. Felix looked up, glaring at her with exhausted eyes. Can you shut up for 5 minutes, Megan? I'm trying to think. Think about what? Megan stomped over to him. Think about how we're going to eat tonight, or think about how you're getting your job back. Wake up, Felix. We need a real solution. Not you staring at the floor. I've been trying to call my contacts, Felix yelled, waving his cracked phone. He had thrown it in a fit of rage earlier. But no one is picking up. The news of my firing definitely hit the Wall Street rumor mill by now. They're all parasites. When I was on top, they were my best friends. Now that I'm down, they're playing dead. Megan scoffed loudly, crossing her arms. The way she looked at him had completely shifted. She used to look at Felix as her knight in shining armor, a billionaire savior. Now she just saw a pathetic loser. If I had known this, I would have just stayed with my ex, Megan muttered under her breath, but loud enough for Felix to hear. Felix recoiled. He glared at her. What did you just say? Megan rolled her eyes. I'm just being realistic. I only got with you because you promised me a luxury lifestyle. You told me your wife was just a trophy, that you pulled the strings. Turns out you're just a glorified employee living off his sugar mama. So pathetic. Honestly, Felix's blood boiled. Megan's words struck the most insecure, fragile part of his ego. Watch your mouth, Megan. I did all of this for you. I committed corporate fraud. I cooked the books all so I could buy you that condo in Tribeca. The designer bags, the car, and now you're insulting me because you're stupid. Megan exploded, losing all restraint. If you're going to embezzle, be smart about it. Don't get caught. What about the stuff you bought me? Whose name is the Tribeca condo under? Don't tell me it's under the company, too. Felix went silent. He didn't dare answer. His silence was the most terrifying answer Megan could receive. Oh my God. She backed away, pale. So, the apartment my mom is living in right now, it's Anna's corporate asset. She can take it back whenever she wants. Not just take it back, Megan, Felix whispered. Anna filed criminal charges. The FBI will trace the funds. Everything I bought you with company money will be seized as evidence, including that diamond necklace you're wearing right now. Whoa, no way. Megan screamed hysterically. She clutched the necklace tightly. This is mine. I gave up my 20s sleeping with an old man like you. I refuse to be poor again. Old man. Felix stood up, his eyes blazing. You're calling me an old man. Yesterday I was handsome and your prince. Now I'm an old man because it's the truth. Megan spat viciously. You're old, bankrupt, and ugly. If it weren't for the black card, I wouldn't have looked at you twice. I'd rather find a young guy with real money. A heavy backhand landed across Megan's cheek. The sound echoed through the massive room. Felix stared at his own hand, breathing heavily while Megan held her reining face. Her eyes wide with shock. You hit me. Megan's voice trembled. Tears welled up in her eyes. You never laid a hand on your legal wife in 5 years, but you hit the woman carrying your child. Because Anna is a woman of class and dignity, she never degraded her husband, even though she owned everything. Felix screamed blindly, unconsciously comparing his mistress to his wife and admitting Anna's undeniable superiority. But you're a leech sucking my blood. The second I bleed dry, you're looking to jump to a new host. Hate you, Felix. Hate you. Megan shrieked, lunging at him with her manicured nails. But before the argument could turn into a physical brawl, the entire house was plunged into pitch blackness. The lights died instantly. The low hum of the central air conditioning faded out. The silence returned, leaving them panting in the dark. Ah, it's dark. Felix, turn on the lights. Megan screamed in terror. Felix patted his pockets and turned on his phone's flashlight. The harsh white beam illuminated Megan's ruined makeup, stray with tears and sweat. Why did the power go out? The neighbors have lights, Felix muttered, walking to the window and parting the curtains. Sure enough, the street lights were on and the mansions next door were glowing warmly. Only their estate was as dark as a tomb. The account was closed, Felix realized, his shoulders slumping. Closed? Megan asked. How? This is a premium grid. The utility bills are auto-drafted from Anna's primary account if she stops payment or requests a shut-off. We go dark, Felix said, waving his hand as the humid, suffocating summer heat of the East Coast began to creep through the sealed windows. Within minutes, sweat began to pour down their backs. Felix collapsed onto the floor. The flashlight from his phone, the only source of light. The battery was at 15%. This is her warning. Felix whispered into the dark. She wants us to experience hell. No money, no food, no light, and turning on each other. Megan sobbed quietly in the corner of the sofa. She wasn't crying out of guilt for ruining a marriage. She was crying because her luck had run out. Her dream of being a high society housewife was shattered. Instead, she was trapped in a hot, dark house with a violent, broke man. "I want to go home tomorrow," Megan sobbed. "I'm going back to my hometown." "Go ahead," Felix replied coldly. "Walk there because I guarantee tomorrow morning Anna's people will be here to throw us out. So enjoy your last night in a mansion. Even if it's hot and dark, at least the roof is expensive." It was the longest night of their lives. They sat on opposite ends of the room, swallowed by darkness and agonizing heat. There was no more love, no more lust, only profound disgust and a regret that came far too late. The forbidden relationship, built on a foundation of money and betrayal, shattered into a million pieces the moment the Queen's light was extinguished. Outside, the wind howled as if mocking the two fools who were now reaping the hurricane they had sowed. A week had passed since the night the power was cut. A week that felt like a century for the occupants of the luxury estate that now felt like a haunted house. Without AC, without running water, the electric pump was dead. And without a single dollar, Felix and Megan were living like squatters in a palace. They survived by selling small portable items, designer wall clocks, a toaster, Megan's shoes, to pawnshops down the road just to buy fast food and gallon jugs of water. Their appearance was appalling. Felix, once clean-shaven and sharp, now had a patchy, unkempt beard. His skin was greasy, and he smelled terrible due to a lack of showers. Megan was worse. Her hair was a greasy mess. Her face pale without makeup, and her small baby bump looked tragic, hidden under a wrinkled, stained t-shirt. That afternoon, the sun was blistering hot, threatening to bake them alive. Felix was sitting on the front porch steps, staring blankly at the empty cul-de-sac. Suddenly, a sleek black Cadillac Escalade pulled up right in front of the towering iron gates. It wasn't an Uber or a debt collector. It was the kind of vehicle that radiated absolute power. A uniformed driver stepped out and opened the rear passenger door. Felix's heart hammered against his ribs. A pair of crimson designer heels stepped elegantly onto the pavement. Following the heels was a woman who made Felix stop breathing. It was Anna. But it wasn't the Anna he knew, the submissive wife in house clothes with a timid smile. The woman standing there was wearing a pristine tailored ivory pants suit. Oversized Tom Ford sunglasses rested on her nose, and her hair, usually tied up in a messy bun, fell in perfect luxurious waves. Her aura was overpowering, dominant, and icy cold. Behind her stepped out Mr. Barnes with his leather briefcase, followed by 4 massive private security contractors in black suits. "Anna," Felix hissed. A spark of idiotic hope ignited in his eyes. He thought Anna had come to save him, or at least that she wasn't angry anymore. Felix scrambled up and jogged to the gate, completely forgetting how repulsive he looked. "Baby, you came back," Felix cried out, his voice raspy. With shaking hands, he unfastened the padlock he had put on the gate from the inside to keep out repo men. As the gate swung open, Felix opened his arms, trying to hug his wife. "I knew you'd come back. I'm so sorry, Anna. I lost my mind. This house is a nightmare without you." But Felix was stopped dead in his tracks. 2 security contractors stepped forward, crossing their arms to block him, ensuring he couldn't get within 3 feet of her. "Do not touch my client," Mr. Barnes warned sharply. Anna slowly removed her sunglasses. She looked Felix up and down, from his greasy hair to his scuffed shoes. The look wasn't hateful. It wasn't angry. It was purely disgusted, as if she had stepped in dog crap. "You smell, Felix," Anna said flatly. 3 words, but the impact hit harder than a freight train. "Anna, please. I'm your husband. Let's go inside and talk." "Okay, I can explain." He was hyperventilating. Megan was a mistake. "I swear I'll throw her out right now if you want me to." He was ready to discard Megan in a heartbeat just to get his comfortable life back. From the front door, Megan emerged looking terrified. She had heard the commotion. Seeing Anna looking like a Fortune 500 CEO, Megan's courage evaporated. She hid behind a porch pillar, holding her stomach. Anna ignored Felix's pleading. She walked right past him, flanked by her guards, heading straight for the front door. Felix trailed behind her like a lost puppy, begging, "Anna, listen to me. I was wrong. Sorry. But you didn't have to go this far. Cutting the power, freezing the bank. That's cruel. I haven't eaten a real meal in days," Felix wed. Anna stopped at the threshold. She scanned the disastrous living room. Empty water bottles littered the floor. Fast food wrappers piled up on the expensive marble table, staining it with grease. The air smelled stale and foul. This house. Anna shook her head slowly. She swiped a finger across the dusty table, then wiped it off with a wet wipe handed to her by an assistant. "I leave for 1 week and it turns into a rat's nest. That's because the maid didn't come. Martha quit because she wasn't paid." Felix defended himself. Anna turned and glared at him. "Do you realize something, Felix? For 5 years you thought you were the king. You thought this house cleaned itself. You thought the gourmet meals cooked themselves. I managed all of it. And in your sheer arrogance, you brought another woman into the palace. I maintained with my own sweat." Anna glanced at the pillar where Megan was hiding. "Come out," Anna ordered. Her voice wasn't loud, but it carried an undeniable authority. Megan crept out shaking. She looked down, not daring to meet Anna's eyes. Mrs. Anna, please don't call me that. We are not friends." Anna cut her off coldly. "Felix, this is our house, right? You said this was ours." Megan tried to seek shelter behind Felix, hoping he had some fight left in him. Felix looked at Anna, then at Megan, completely lost. "Anna, this is our marital home, right? We built a life here. You can't just evict me." "The law protects me," Felix stammered. Anna let out a short, crisp laugh. It was musical but terrifying. She gestured to Mr. Barnes. The lawyer opened his briefcase and pulled out heavy notarized documents. "Mr. Felix, Mr. M." Barnes began. "Please review this carefully. This is the original deed to this estate purchased in 2018. Sole owner Anna Barnes paid entirely in cash using premarital trust funds." Mr. Barnes flipped to the next document. "And this is the prenuptial agreement you signed in front of a notary 5 years ago. Section 3, Paragraph 1. All assets acquired through the appreciation of the wife's premarital assets remain the sole and exclusive property of the wife. The husband waives all rights to alimony, equitable distribution, or spousal support." Felix stared at the papers. He remembered the signing. He was so eager to lock down a beautiful, wealthy heiress that he signed without reading. So Felix's voice trembled violently. "I really have no legal claim. You only had permission to live here, Felix, as long as I allowed it." Anna answered calmly. "And as of this second, that permission is permanently revoked." Anna crossed her arms. Looking at Felix and Megan, "You two have enjoyed my generosity long enough. Sleeping in my bed, eating on my dime, driving my cars. The party is over." Anna pointed toward the wide open iron gates. "According to the ultimatum you gave me a week ago, Felix, you said one of us had to pack our bags and leave. Since this is my house, my land, and these walls were built with my father's money, logic dictates that you and your mistress are the ones who need to get the hell out." "But Anna, where will I go? I don't have a cent to my name. Megan is pregnant." Felix dropped to his knees, grabbing the hem of Anna's designer trousers. His pride was utterly annihilated. He sobbed, crying genuine tears born from the absolute terror of poverty. Anna kicked her leg back, shaking him off, and took a step away. Her face remained a stone mask, entirely unmoved by his crocodile tears. "That is no longer my problem, Felix. When you decided to get her pregnant and kick me out, you chose your own destiny." Anna turned to the head of her security detail. "Clear my property of this trash. I want this house sterilized in 10 minutes. Drag them out if you have to." "Yes, ma'am," the guards answered in unison. Felix and Megan's eyes went wide. The threat was real. The Queen had returned not to make peace, but to hand down the execution order. Amidst Megan's hysterical crying and Felix's howling, Anna stood tall like the statue of Lady Justice holding a sword, ready to slice off the parasites that had been draining her life. "Drag them out," Anna ordered simply. It sounded like a judge's gavel striking the block. Without wasting a second, the 4 massive guards moved in. 2 grabbed Felix by the arms and the other 2 approached Megan. "Don't touch me. Let go. I own this house. Tell them, Anna. I'm your husband." Felix thrashed like a wild animal. He kicked the air, trying to break the iron grips of the guards. "Sorry, buddy. Orders from the property owner. Cooperate or we use force," one of the guards said flatly. On the other side, Megan screamed as a guard grabbed her arm. "Don't be rough with me. I'm pregnant. Felix, help me." But Felix couldn't help anyone. He was currently being dragged backward toward the front door. The heels of his scuffed loafers squeaked against the marble floors he used to brag about. They were dragged through the grand foyer, down the manicured front walk, all the way to the massive iron gates. Mr. Barnes signaled an assistant. The assistant tossed 2 large suitcases onto the asphalt outside the property line. Crash! The bags hit the road hard. They only contained Felix and Megan's old cheap clothes from before they met Anna. The designer suits, Rolexes, and diamond jewelry had all been confiscated by the legal team as evidence of embezzlement. A security guard shoved Felix and Megan, sending them sprawling onto the hot asphalt outside the gates. Felix scraped his knees against the rough street. Megan stumbled but managed to catch her balance, collapsing onto the curb by the dry storm drain. Panting heavily, Felix looked back. His appearance was ruined. His shirt was torn at the shoulder from his own thrashing. He was covered in sweat and dirt. There, standing behind the wrought iron gates, was Anna. She didn't step an inch past her property line. She stood firmly in her domain, looking down at the 2 humans who now looked as small as ants. The late afternoon sun cast a halo around Anna, making her glow, while Felix and Megan sat in the dark shadows of their own ruined lives. Felix crawled to the gate, wrapping his trembling hands around the iron bars. "Anna, please." His voice was unbroken. "Don't do this. Have nobody else. My parents are gone. My friends won't take my calls. If you throw me away, where will I sleep? Give me a second chance. I swear I'll be a good husband. I'll leave Megan right now." Hearing that, Megan whipped her head around. Her eyes bulged with rage. "Felix, are you insane? You're going to abandon me and your baby for money." "Shut up." Felix screamed at her, then looked back at Anna with pathetic, pleading eyes. "See, I don't love her. It was just a mistake. Please open the gate." Anna took 1 step forward, her face close to the bars. She looked deep into Felix's eyes. There was no love left, only the ruthless resolve of a woman who was done playing games. "Remember what you said to me last week, Felix?" Anna asked quietly, her words slicing like razor blades. Felix froze. The memory slammed into him. Anna continued, perfectly mocking his arrogant tone from that day. "You have to accept being second place and raise the baby. Or you pack your bags, walk out, and lose everything." Anna smirked. "Now that exact sentence applies to you. You didn't want my loyalty, so you can pack your bags, walk out, and lose everything. Fair is fair, isn't it? But I don't have a dime, Anna. You froze my accounts. My wallet is empty. You have legs, Felix, and you have a brain even if you rarely use it." Anna insulted him sharply. "You're a man. Go get a job. Start from zero. Feel what it's like to earn the honest money you so casually threw away on that woman." Anna shifted her gaze to Megan, who was weeping on the asphalt. "And as for you, Megan," Anna said, "congratulations. You won. You successfully stole Felix. Take him. He's all yours, complete with his poverty and his massive legal debts. Enjoy the true love you 2 bragged about without my bank account." "You're a monster," Megan screamed in frustration. "I'm not a monster. I'm just putting the trash where it belongs," Anna replied coldly. Anna gave a subtle hand signal. The security guard pressed a button on the remote. The massive iron gates began to slide shut, where the sound of the motorized gate was like a victory anthem. Wait, Anna. Felix tried to hold the gate back with his hands, but the motor was far too powerful. The guard swatted his hands away so they wouldn't get crushed. Enjoy your new lives, Anna said one final time before the gap narrowed. I hope your love is enough to buy formula for that baby. Clang. The gates locked shut perfectly, securing Anna inside her peaceful sanctuary and leaving Felix and Megan outside in the cruel, sweltering heat. Silence fell over the street. A few wealthy neighbors who had heard the commotion stepped out of their mansions, watching from afar, pointing and whispering. An overwhelming wave of humiliation crashed over Felix. The respected CEO was now a neighborhood spectacle, sitting in the gutter like a beggar. Felix turned to Megan. Clear's throat. Megan glared right back. This is all your fault. Megan screamed, throwing her sandal at his chest. If you didn't act like a fake billionaire, I never would have slept with you. What am I supposed to do now? My fault. Felix screamed back, the veins in his neck popping. You're the gold digger who demanded the cars and the apartments until I had to steal from the company. You're a curse. The two of them stood on the sidewalk, screaming and blaming each other, becoming a pathetic free sideshow for the neighborhood. Felix eventually grabbed his cheap suitcase and stormed off down the road without a destination, leaving Megan limping behind him, screaming curses. Behind the high walls, Anna turned her back to the street. She took a deep breath, inhaling the sweet scent of the blooming hydrangeas in her garden. The air had never felt so fresh. The suffocating weight that had crushed her chest for 5 years was completely gone. Mr. Barnes offered a respectful smile. It's handled, Mrs. Barnes. I will proceed with the divorce filings and coordinate with the district attorney on the criminal charges. Thank you, Mr. Barnes. Anna smiled genuinely. It was her first real unburdened smile in a long time. Now I am going to order a premium sushi platter from New and an iced matcha latte. I'm absolutely starved. Anna walked gracefully back into her pristine home. Her steps were light. She was no longer the silent, obedient wife. She was the queen who had successfully cleansed her castle, ready to begin a new, much happier life. Alone but undeniably powerful.